Claudia for creating teach us how to do our own packaging for Python projects. So I'm gonna let Claudia tell us about this. And thank you for coming. And we have put this there in case you want to. So Claudia.
Thank you for inviting me. We're talking about, how to help your own Python project. And firstly, I think it's important to know what the is, the Python package, what that is. It's a repository where authors of projects, Python projects, can upload their own software and allow other people to download their projects. So I'm going to teach you guys how to create the files necessary to upload your projects, make them pip-installable, and at the end of the day, pip-install. First, we need to create a couple files. Which is the one I'm showing here. We need our main directory, which I made package. We need another one called source, and inside we're going to add another directory, just the name of the package. In this case, I named it example package, and your username has to go at the end. Inside of this, we're going to have two files. We're going to have the example.py file, which contains all the modules and the functions and the logic of what your project consists. And we're going to have this image file, which just allows for the importing of your basic. It can be empty. It doesn't have to have anything inside. So down here, I've made a small function, an example function, which makes a cake. You just add a flavor, icing, and toppings. And down here, I've made a vanilla cake with lemon icing and cherry toppings. And the cake is ready. So this is what we're going to be importing and installing at the end. Okay, so by the end of the tutorial, we're going to have several files, the ones that I have here. We're going to have a license, the pyproject.toml file, a readme, and this empty directory down here to a test, which is just a placeholder. We're not going to actually do any tests for this tutorial. So first, let's start with the build backend. And the build backend is basically a file which contains information like the metadata of your project, which means the names, for example, the author of this project, other important things we need to know, like links maybe, and also what Python version we need to, or is required to install on this project. And we have to make a couple, we have to fill this file, this pyproject.toml file with a couple of things, like I said. One of them is the build. We need to specify what build we want, and there are several. And like I said, it's going to tell you about the metadata of your project, and the way to choose your build backend is kind of, it varies. There's a link that I've left here that tells you, like, depending on what you need, what you want in your project backend, which build backend is according or is best for you. So since there's several options, I'm not going to go into detail with all of them, but that link is there. And this is going to be the content of the pyproject.toml file. We're going to have here the build that we want, which is called patchling. And then down here we have the metadata of the project. So the name, version, for example, authors, and all the things that I mentioned. Now, what's next is quite simple, making a README file. We probably all made a README file in this room before, but it's going to be exactly from the tutorial that I'm using, which is just, it states that this is a project named example, and this example we're making cakes. And that's all the content of the README file. I can also open it this so you can have a look. That's, yeah, like literally what it said. Okay. So after this, we need to make a license for our project, and the file to do this is just going to be called license. There are many licenses out there, but there's a website that can also allow you to choose the best one according to what your project is about, what kind of permissions you allow people to have. And in this case, we're just using the MIT license for simplicity. So this content will copy and paste into the license file. And now we need to do something which is called generating distribution archives. And the distribution archives are the files that will reach the end user. So these are the files that basically are going to allow the user to install the project and be able to pip install. So first we need to run a couple of commands. We need to install the build and upgrade it as well. And the build command is going to allow us to create these files. We have to run it inside the directory where PyProject is located. So that would be in our example in the packaging-tutorial directory. And we're going to get two files. We're going to get first one that is the same name as the directory, right? Example package, your username. In my case, my username is there. But they're going to be a wheel file with the extension .wheel, and the other one is going to be a .tar file. The tar file is a source distribution, sorry. And this one is going to be in charge of generating the files that are essential for tools like pip, which will make the user able to install your project. And the build distribution is just the file that will be in charge of moving the files from your project to the corresponding locations on the target system to be installed later. So once we have these two, we're going to need to upload these two files up to the test.pypi website. And an important clarification here is that there is PyPI, the Python packaging index, and then there's test PyPI. And test allows you to, as the name implies, to experiment and just make sure that your packages are ready to be uploaded without a problem. So it's just a separate instance of the normal packaging index. And in this case, before we upload them, we're going to need to generate a token. In order to do this, we need to make an account, etc. We need to set up the two-factor authentication process. And then we can go to the account settings. And down here, we'll be able to ask for a token. Here's the token down here. So I've made 3 tokens. I can't access the token again. It only shows you it once. But once I have this token, I need to save it somewhere where I'll remember. And the next step is going to be to use Twine, which is a tool that is in charge of uploading your Python projects to PyPI or test PyPI. We're going to install it, upgrade it, and we're going to run this command here. And this command is going to be in charge of uploading these 2 files that we generated up to PyPI or test PyPI. And there are a couple of problems that you can run into, or a specific problem that I ran into is that you can be asked for credentials, your API token, and it might not accept it because you need to configure a file which is called .py-irc, which you have to put in your case of Windows users. You need to put it in your where's the word here? You would have to put it in the directory, the c./user, etc. And in the case of Linux users, I believe from your home directory, you just have to place that file there and copy the contents of this code block here into that file. And what this does is basically set up the credentials for you to be able to upload your projects without having to enter a username and a password every single time. And once you do that, you'll get this output. It says that it's uploading both your source distribution file and your wheel file. And once that is done, you can check this link here, which is view at, and you'll find exactly your project there. Let's see if I can. There we go. What did I do? That is not what I want to do. Exactly. Okay. So I can get this link. And it was there last night. So technical difficulties once again. The thing is that once you get this output, you should be able to check that link and be able to click install your package by using the test PyPI URL and these other commands here that state no dependencies, the name of your package, and like all other packages, you will get the successfully installed message. And down here, we're going to import from the name of the directory and then the name of the module or the Python file that we created initially. And then from that module, we can call a function here that we made earlier, make cake, and we'll get the same output. So that is how you make your projects pip-installable, upload them to the Python package index. Thank you.
So for example, let me say I am doing like a lot of functions. So I want to put them all in my package and then like run. But in some cases, I want to put another one or maybe I want to change something. Is it as easy of like just replacing the files or I have to do like everything again every time that I want to update it?
I think you can replace the files because, for example, you can specify in your metadata a version. So, for example, if you were to update it, I think you can just upload the same files and specify that you have a new version.
Oh, okay. And the other question that I had is that, you have it in like this web page. Anyone can see your package or you can choose maybe if you want to share it with anyone or you can like, or any person, for example, someone in 10 years is going to look on my project and they're going to find my function that I did for like my specific case, for example. And then they'll be like, oh, I'm going to download that. Or maybe I can like put like a private one.
That's a good question. I would have to see if PyPI is public. I think it's not
Yeah,
public. But yeah, the alternative would be uploading it to a GitHub repository, which can be private. But yeah, I believe PyPI is public or fully public. I may be wrong though.
But it will work the same with GitHub? Like, or maybe
no. Like, in order to I mean, maybe yeah.
Is it a problem, for example, if I make a function, then I don't know, like I'm not gonna name it, for example, astrocyte. Like it has to have like a new name.
You can use dash and underscore and everything, but yeah, it needs to be
So something that is not registered in that way.
exactly. That is the point, at least in this tutorial, because the test instance will allow you to do, you can upload as many things as you want, but adding our username onto our directory is specifically so we can create a new unique project every time.
That's what because I still have questions. Sorry, I'm asking. What I wanted also to ask is that when you do this, you can do this in your computer. Also, like with environments. Like for example, I want to install this in like my user that already has all the dependencies. But then if I make like an environment just for my function, is this also going to install everything else that it needs to run?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there is a way to do this, but that specifically I didn't cover in this tutorial. But I know there is a way to. It's probably in the same link where the original tutorial was found because I made a huge synthesis of that. But
in the metadata file you will show before you can specify the dependencies. I think it is there. Nice.
I thought so too from last time because the in the classifiers, I thought that was one way to do it, but yeah, I'm not gonna say anything that I'm not too sure about.
You can also put that in a txt file like dependencies.txt and you list all the libraries and versions you need for your Python packages, and that should really done. Install it automatically.
Yeah, I'm sure it's either that or something
to specify it.
Thank you, Claudia, for this tutorial. Also, for everyone, we are going to be uploading all the information thanks to Joaquin that made a webpage. So now we have. We are also going to try to upload the videos to YouTube. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, maybe like and subscribe. And
with that notification.
Yeah.
And we will have a Google Calendar so you can receive the notifications before you see the events.
Un aplauso. And next week, we have Rodrigo, who's going to teach us content environments. So stay tuned and thanks for coming.
Bueno.
Aplausos.